21 years ago now, saying that I can't believe that it's 21 years ago, I stood at this very spot one evening. But 21 years ago, I was stood here transfixed. I'd seen a caterpillar. There used to be a stand of willow herb here. Willow herb that used to go the whole length and breadth of the grass strip here at Clipston Old Quarter. It's died out now, but there was always one clump of willow herb that grew here. And as I walked past on this particular evening, I saw a large caterpillar at the top of this stem of willow herb. Immediately, as you would think elephant hawk-moth caterpillar. And as I approached, I saw a series of large round spots on these caterpillar's sides. I knew then that we were dealing with something particularly extraordinary and something particularly rare in Nottinghamshire. What I was actually looking at was one of these. I couldn't believe it at the time, because this is the fabulously large larva of the Bedstraw Hawk-moth in Nottinghamshire, a very rare occasional migrant. There is reason to believe that this moth is breeding, or has bred recently, in Nottinghamshire in the Sherwood Pines area. And about this time last year I went looking for one of these in Sherwood Pines, the old Clipston forest, and couldn't find any sign. I also went the other day and couldn't find any sign again. But there again, like here at Clipston Old Quarter, roseberry willow herb seems to have died out at Sherwood Pines. But 21 years ago, when my eyes were fixed on this caterpillar, I couldn't believe it. It was the thing of dreams, it really was. Any migrant hawk moth, well, when I was a lad, I didn't think occurred anywhere near Nottinghamshire, but over the years, as I learnt more and read more, I realised that occasionally they do. And this was my first record of the moth in Nottinghamshire. I was quite fortunate, because 2 years later, in 2006, I saw and found an adult nectarinate valerian at Eakring one late evening. So I've been more fortunate than many in Nottinghamshire to have seen one of these in the first place, and to have seen two. This one is one that I've recently bought. It took a year to get to me. Not that it's walked, of course, but it's just that the supply of Bedstraw hawk-moths, for some reason, despite it being more common of the likes of spurred, striped and silver striped hawk-moths, has always been more difficult to get as livestock. But recently I've just been able to procure a few, and here we are, bringing back the days of 21 years ago. You can probably imagine my excitement on that evening. I remember it being a fine evening, and it was especially fine when I realised what I was looking at. I couldn't believe my luck to find the caterpillar of a moth that had been after seeing ever since childhood. It was one of those species that used to crop up when I flicked through the Observer's Book of Larger Moths when I was a child. Yet again, it was another moth of dreams, and it still is. I would still love to find this species yet again in the wild in Nottinghamshire. We've just had a decent influx along the eastern parts of the UK, and so over the next month people have got quite a chance of seeing one of these caterpillars if they look on the stands of roseberry willow herb. If you look on roseberry willow herb during August, you've got every chance of seeing the caterpillar of the elephant hawk moth. But to see one of these, I'm sure, would be part of many people's dreams. They are large and spectacular caterpillars. They're probably the size of elephant hawk-moth caterpillars, marked very differently. They're quite variably marked too, and out of the half a dozen that have got, one went green for an instar, but has now gone almost black. What they do have in common are those large spots running down the sides of the caterpillar. But then there's all those tiny dots on each of the sections of the caterpillar. It's a marvellous thing, not particularly well illustrated because this one's a bit camera shy, but it's on the point of pupation, and you get the general idea. During the recent influx of Bedstraw hawk-moths into the UK, Nottinghamshire, as far as we know, never turned one up. I hoped for one, expected one certainly to turn up in Nottinghamshire, but it seems one hasn't. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks someone finds a caterpillar or two of this species. And what a find it would be to see this here now. You even know it's captive bred and captive reared, but on the same spot as I saw one here 21 years ago, brings the memories flooding back, makes me want to see more of these. Super thing. Bringing this caterpillar up here, it's brought back many happy memories. I could have quite easily just stayed at home and waffled on about this beautiful thing, but it brings those memories flooding back of that evening in 2004, all those years ago. A beautifully marked large caterpillar that produces a beautifully marked large moth, but not until about next May or early June. We have to wait a bit to see what this wonderful caterpillar turns into. A striking moth coming from a striking caterpillar of the Bedstraw hawk-moth.